DeWanna Bonner, one of the WNBA's most experienced and respected veterans, found herself in the middle of a firestorm, booed mercilessly by the Indiana home crowd. Her every move scrutinized as tensions boiled over on the hardwood. But why the hate? What really happened inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse? And how did Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever deliver one of their biggest statement wins of the season against the Phoenix Mercury? This is a game that had it all: drama, revenge, and a dominant home court display. Let's break it down. Coming into this game, the Indiana Fever were riding a wave of momentum. After a rocky start to the season, things had started to click. Chemistry was building, roles were solidifying, and most importantly, Caitlin Clark was finding her rhythm in the WNBA. Aliyah Boston had become a dominant force in the paint again. Kelsey Mitchell was finally looking like herself. Lexi Hull was providing invaluable hustle minutes off the bench. And after being doubted, disrespected, and even targeted by veterans around the league, Clark had something to prove. Not just for herself, but for her entire team. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Mercury were trying to find consistency. With legends like Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner still commanding attention, and DeWanna Bonner looking to assert herself, the Mercury had high expectations. But their season has been plagued by inconsistency, internal friction, and now fan hostility. Let's address the elephant in the room. Why was DeWanna Bonner booed so loudly in Indianapolis? This wasn't just typical sports booing. This was intense, prolonged, personal. Some fans cited her recent comments in the media, perceived as throwing shade at the Indiana Fever, and more specifically, at Caitlin Clark. While Bonner didn't name names, her comments about overhyped rookies and players being handed the spotlight without earning it were clearly interpreted as shots at Clark. And you already know how Clark's fanbase responds to that. To add fuel to the fire, in a previous matchup, Bonner was involved in a physical altercation where she delivered a hard, controversial foul on Clark as she drove to the basket. Many felt it was unnecessary. A blatant cheap shot from a veteran who should know better. That moment alone began a hostile relationship between her and the Fever faithful. Fast forward to this game, and the boos were loud from warm-ups. Every time Bonner touched the ball, boos. When she missed a shot, cheers erupted. The crowd was dialed in, and they made sure she knew she wasn't welcome. From the opening tip, the Fever came out with purpose. Caitlin Clark wasted no time, hitting a deep three in the first minute that brought the crowd to its feet. The look on her face said it all. She wasn't here to play nice. She was here to dominate. Aliyah Boston controlled the paint, putting Brittany Griner in uncomfortable positions with her strength and mobility. Time and time again, Boston beat her down low with clean footwork and touch around the rim. But it wasn't just the stars. Christy Wallace and Temi Fagbennel stepped up big time. Lexi Hull hustled for every loose ball. Kelsey Mitchell was surgical with her mid-range game. By the end of the first quarter, the Fever led 27-15, and the Mercury looked stunned. And guess who was shooting 0 for 4 with 2 turnovers? That's right, DeWanna Bonner. This was one of those locked-in Caitlin Clark nights. Her court vision? Unreal. She had one no-look dime in the second quarter that had the crowd erupting. A perfect bounce pass between 2 defenders to Boston for an easy layup. Her handles? Smooth and tight, constantly keeping defenders guessing. Her shooting? Deadly. She hit a logo 3 in the second quarter that sent shockwaves across the arena. Bonner tried to close out, but it was too late. Swish. Clark ended the first half with 14 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals. And this wasn't empty stats. She was clearly the engine running Indiana's offense, pushing the tempo and keeping the Mercury off balance. You could tell she was playing with a chip on her shoulder. The boos for Bonner? They only fueled her more. After a missed jumper and a non-call on what she thought was a foul, Bonner lost her cool. She got right in the referee's face. And boom, technical foul. The crowd exploded. The boos turned into taunts. And the Fever bench? Smiling ear to ear. What followed was even worse for Phoenix. On the very next possession, Clark nailed another deep three and stared right down the Mercury bench. The camera caught Taurasi shaking her head. The Mercury looked rattled. And Bonner? She looked defeated. You could feel the shift. This wasn't just a bad night for Bonner. It was a humiliation. She ended the game with just 7 points on 3 of 13 shooting, 4 turnovers, and that technical foul as the cherry on top. Let's talk about that Indiana crowd for a second. Fever fans have become some of the most passionate in the WNBA, largely due to the Caitlin Clark effect. But it goes deeper than that. They've built an identity around defending their players, calling out what they see as disrespect, and bringing serious energy to every home game. On this night, that passion was on full display. Chants of "overrated" echoed through the arena whenever Bonner shot free throws. Every foul call against Clark was met with boos. Every Fever bucket was met with thunderous cheers. It felt like a playoff game. The crowd was living for every moment, and you could tell the players fed off it. By the fourth quarter, the game was well in hand. The Fever led by double digits most of the way, and Clark continued to orchestrate flawlessly. She ended the game with 24 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, and 4 steals. Aliyah Boston added 18 points and 11 boards. Mitchell chipped in 16. But it wasn't just the numbers, it was the tone. The message. The Indiana Fever weren't just winning, they were making a statement. This team isn't just about Clark's fame. They're building something real. When the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard read, Indiana Fever 87, Phoenix Mercury 71. And the crowd? Absolutely electric. Clark waved to the fans, smiling. Bonner walked off the court to more boos, shoulders slumped, jaw clenched. It was a brutal night. In the post-game pressers, Clark was her usual composed self. She gave credit to her teammates, praised the coaching staff, and only briefly mentioned the atmosphere, saying, "Our fans have our back. That's what makes this place so special." Bonner, on the other hand, wasn't so diplomatic. When asked about the boos and the crowd's reaction, she simply said, "They can cheer whoever they want. Doesn't bother me." But her body language said otherwise. Social media lit up with clips of Bonner's airballs, her technical foul, and the chants raining down. WNBA Twitter was ruthless. This win was more than just another tick in the W column. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe for more WNBA breakdowns.